Welcome to another episode of On the Beach. Today we've got Deborah, and Deborah knows everything there is to know about sorting your head out.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, I will introduce you to Deborah. Please meet Deborah.
Good morning, Phil.
Good morning. We've had a chat beforehand today, and well, your work is extremely fascinating. And of course, the danger probably is that people worry that you're analysing them all the time.
Well, I don't know. I don't really get that. No.
No. You've seen the comedies where somebody's like scared to say or do anything because the other person's a therapist or something.
I did feel like that during my training, actually.
Oh, did you?
You know, with the tutor,
Right.
you know, analysing everything you say and pulling up, you know, things on what you're saying. It's like, oh.
So Deborah, your speciality is trauma therapy.
Yeah.
Is it trauma? Is therapy the right word?
Yep.
Or
Yep. So that's the name of my company, The Spirit Within Trauma.
Right.
Trauma therapy.
I think I noticed that it was like things like PTSD and stuff.
Yep.
Do you get a lot of that? And is that forces based, or is that regular people?
No, anybody can suffer from PTSD.
Right.
So what I deal with is PTSD and also complex PTSD. So the difference is PTSD is normally a one-off event, which is life-threatening to yourself or possibly a partner.
Sorry to interrupt, but specifically life-threatening?
Yeah.
It has to be life-threatening to be...
It normally is.
Okay.
Where, you know, somebody's pulled a knife to your throat, for instance, and you're stuck in that moment.
Right.
And you can't move on.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
And CPTSD, complex PTSD, is normally layered PTSD. So say, for instance, guys and girls that have come back from Afghanistan, for instance, that have been there, witnessed several things, gone back out on tour, witnessed something else, then gone somewhere else, and so on, and you get all these layers that build up.
Right.
But again, it can be childhood sexual abuse, which I also deal with.
And that comes under PTSD?
It can do.
Okay.
It can do. Because you're living in that fearful moment, and you don't know when you're going to be abused next.
Right.
So it's living in that fear.
Now, would that apply to people in that position when they're still young, or would that apply to them maybe when they've grown older and so on, and it's affecting them when they're older?
I normally see people in their 40s, between 40 and 60.
That have experienced it when they were younger?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And they've got to the point in their life, because you've got that midlife crisis, if you like, that midlife point where you go, do you know what, I don't want to think about this person anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about this abuser every day, 24/7.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I want to be able to retire or live my life in peace.
Yes.
And that's the important thing.
Excuse me. So, so are the bulk of what qualifications does someone need to do what you do?
I've got advanced training. I've been a therapist now nearly 20 years. So, and I do walk the talk. I have regular therapy myself.
You do?
I do, yeah. And I've had training all over the country. A lot of it is in London, which is specialist training.
Yeah, that's good that you have the therapy yourself.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You've got to walk the talk. Otherwise, you know, how can I heal anybody else or help anybody else when I'm stressed out myself?
Yes.
But I did have a lady who, at the age of 59, came to me, and she witnessed her mum murdering her brother, and at the age of 10. So she'd held on to that for almost 50 years.
Oh my God.
And then decided...
Had there been consequences or...?
Yeah. But obviously I can't go into that.
No.
But you know, that to actually relieve her of that trauma was massive.
Yes.
And another lad, well, I say lad, 40-year-old man. But
that's a lad.
With certainly childhood sexual abuse, people do get stuck in childhood, you know, and sometimes, you know, they act very, I don't want to say immature, but childlike.
Yes.
Because their emotions are still back
yes.
in that childhood mode.
They perhaps are adults, but they've got this constant nagging, I guess.
And he was beaten from the age of 3 by his mum severely every day for just being there.
Yeah.
So, you know, and
there's a
that's
huge
tough.
amount of it around. I think we touched on it earlier that the pupil has to be ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ready to.
That's
We're going
right.
to talk a little bit about that because there might be people watching this that have problems and they don't even like to talk to anybody about it. They haven't talked to anybody about it, and maybe they're thinking, oh, I'd really like to talk to that lady. Is there a position or kind of category that they themselves need to, or a place that they need to be before they come and talk to you?
It's just when they're feeling ready.
Okay.
You know, you can't phone up and say, you know, book my husband in.
Yes.
You know, because that's fine. Get your husband to call me.
Yeah.
But when people are ready, and I think it's when they've reached that point, they've tried the antidepressants, they've been to the doctors, they've tried various other things.
Yeah.
Without naming names, and then they say, right, you know, I want to get rid of this now. And the good thing about PTSD is you do not have to live with it. And that's a common myth, that actually I've got this now and I've got it for life.
Is there, would people necessarily have signs? Would there necessarily be signs? So, I mean, when I say signs, maybe they're a disaster, their life's a disaster, or could they be living a perfectly normal life and still be troubled with all this, but they're coping with it? Maybe not well, but they're coping.
Yeah.
Are there signs or?
I mean, very often people are dragging themselves through the day, and you know, you only have to look at the news really, and then find out all these big celebrities that have actually got mental health problems, and who would have thought?
Yeah.
You know, and there they are presenting and looking fantastic on stage or whatever they're doing, and actually behind the scenes they're an absolute wreck, and it's putting on this persona. And it's especially with actors, for instance, you know, they're putting on a mask every day, aren't they?
Yeah.
But you know, that's you know, again, it can affect anybody, because you're going to work, you're that person at work, and then you get home and you might be hitting the bottle of vodka every night.
Doesn't sound so bad to me.
It is if it's a whole bottle.
Now, especially for people watching this, everything that you do and discuss with people is 100% confidential, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So they would have no concern or worries at all in approaching you. And if they were to approach you, do you have an initial free consultation or something, or how do you go about it?
I mean, what normally happens is people will make the phone call. We have a good chat on the phone.
Yeah.
That's really like the free consultation on the telephone.
Okay. Yeah.
To see whether, you know, they are ready to work with me, because that's what I say. We are working together.
I like that.
I'm not changing them.
Yeah.
Okay. They're doing some work as well, and they get homework as well. And the thing is, once they make that phone call and get, you know, I get them booked in for a consultation, which is chargeable. They have hypnotherapy or some other form of therapy. It might be counselling, but it really depends on what comes up.
The job is.
And then they will have a recording to play at home.
Right.
And that's their homework to start off with.
I see.
But they also get skills and techniques that they can use to relax them.
Yeah.
So it's looking at them holistically.
And lying on the beach, is that one of them?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's my ideal relaxation, is lying here on the beach, you know.
But it's not.
And that was my logo, funny enough, for years. I had the palm tree and the beach, and I created the logo, and I used that for many years when I was doing holistic work. But then I realised when I did my hypnotherapy course and my counselling course that not everybody loves the beach. So
what's not to love?
I know, exactly. But, you know, some people hate the sand, some people hate the heat.
Yeah.
So, you know, in my therapy room, funny enough, I've got 2 pictures, one of the beach and one of a forest.
A forest, I was
yeah.
going to say that.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's diverse as you get.
Yeah.
Deborah, it's been an absolute pleasure, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Can you believe it already?
I know.
And I'm sure there's a great deal more we can chat about. Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Deborah. And thank you all for watching. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.